Welcome friends to the newest edition of Seahawkers What If. I'm your host, Clinton Bonner. You can find me out on Twitter at Clinton Bon. I am joined by the one, the only, the great Brandon Schultz, and find him out on Twitter at Seahawkers Pod. And of course, it would not be Seahawkers What If we could not traverse the multiverse itself without the protector of Seahawkers What If, Mr. Phil Leidick. Gentlemen, as we gather here today at 1-1, quick snapshot poll, scale of 1 to 5. How's our confidence? How are we feeling about our Seattle Seahawks? Mr. Phil, how are you feeling? Scale of 1 to 5.
I love the direction we're going. I'm seeing improvement in all the places I want to see. That Niners team is a great team on so many ways. So going into that, we ought to have expected the potential of it going down the way it did. They have a quality. Their defense is like one of the actual good defenses in the NFL. If you're watching the game at all tonight on Thursday, you can see most defenses aren't very good, right? They just let people get torn up. And so that was a good roster. I like what I'm seeing, the improvement on some of the real key areas with the young guys. So yeah, I'm feeling really positive about the direction here for the next few years.
Okay. So you took the question, you twisted it. You twisted it a little bit. You went with, positive. That's okay. I'm not going to blame you. All right, Brandon, confidence level as we head into the Atlanta game, 1 to 10. Where are you at?
Oh, he also changed the scale to 5 to 10 for me. So
that's okay. This is like a Weird Al Yankovic, a collapsible accordion. We do what we want here, right?
Confidence level on the team. I think Phil took it in, like you said, the positive direction, because it's the confidence level that things are on the right path for the future. And
yes,
I think, sure, if we want to go that way, I'd feel confident about the future, confidence for the season, and confidence going against the Falcons. I mean, if confidence equals wins, then maybe I'm at a 4 out of a 10 scale.
Gotcha. A little tepid, just perhaps a bit tepid. And that's okay. It's funny. It's a seesaw, right? Like we enter game 1, we win game 1. We're feeling great. We get shellacked in game 2. And, all of a sudden we're not feeling so hot. We're not feeling so good. However, listen, the funny part for this game is, and Mr. Phil, I can't wait to toss it to you, but the funny part is this is a beatable team. But I think if folks think like it's your Falcons post Super Bowl collapse, they were okay last year, right? They won 7 games. They've lost a couple of heartbreak hotel games this year already. They're not bad. This is not a bad team. So I think if folks are expecting Seattle to come in and wax a team,
oh no,
I don't think we wax anybody this year. So I think it's going to be highly competitive. With that, Mr. Phil, I think it's time to hand it over to you so we could hear maybe the recap if you want to, the Prisco game. And then, of course, turning the page as we do to hear about what have you crafted for the themiology for week 3, Seahawks hosting the Atlanta Falcons.
Well, I don't recap the Niner game. You guys did that on 3 and 3 out. This is my previously with the protector where I start my timer and I take a quick peek at what our upcoming opponent did against the last game, which was the Rams. Right. And so I start the timer, try to get it under 2 minutes. I worked at this. I'm going to try at it. But as I'm thinking about these previously segments, a lot of teeter-tottering happens, right? Like people overcorrect for the previous week. So whatever failures they had last week, expect them maybe to fix some of those. And where they look good, maybe the Seahawks will over-prepare for that and hinder. But anyways, here's what I saw. Just a little quick rundown. I'm starting my timer right now. On offense, Mariota is talented. His O-line started out pretty good, especially in pass pro, but Mariota bails on good pockets, but he still scrambles well. He's got more confidence in his scrambling than his O-line. DPI saved Mariota on a bad pass and previous bad snap play. Also, you might have saw his Lazarus special. That was pretty fancy, wasn't it? And that kind of kept him going.
Yeah.
Their short yardage run game mostly failed, and they struggled in the red zone. Mariota was often not on the same page as wide receivers from time to time, though they do have some really good ones. This led to some ugly pass plays, a tip into a pick. They finally scored on a short field after a pick. Most of the time they were kind of struggling in the shorter field, but after that pick, they did well. They came up with a nice drive in the fourth quarter against what seemed to be a little softer Ram coverage. Maybe that's just me. Special teams, I got one sentence: missed field goal, block, punt with a scoop and score. Saw that. You never know if that'll happen again. Defense, they were kind of line of scrimmage losers, just in all the ways that a defense can lose the line of scrimmage. They did good on the other side against Donald, but on the defense, not so much. Started with a lot of zone, not good against either the tight end or running back screen. So expect the Hawks to exploit that, right? They were pushed around on the run game, but mostly just when the Rams chose to run. Their linebackers are unimpressive, couldn't generate pressure in the first half. Kupp, well, he owned their zone, but they were bailed out a few times by a couple terrible Stafford throws. Later, they switched to man, and guess what? Well, they still couldn't contain Kupp very well. So they switched back to zone some, still look bad. Did get an impressive pick in the third quarter. They started to look better in the second half until the Rams remembered to, guess what, run the ball again and throw it to Kupp. So maybe what you would have expected, right under 2 minutes. Did you guys have anything to add that you saw before we jump into what if here, Clinton?
No, I'm saying let's get rocking with it. You did a great recap.
Let's do it. Okay. At the end of our show, we'll see why Travis has two brothers, and maybe you can guess why, but Travis has two brothers. But first, it's time for What If? Falcons are Earth's fastest animals. You probably knew that, especially when they dive. We're hoping that they dive. Which bird in this game, bird against birds, which bird will fly or soar this year? Will one or both of these teams dive bomb to claw grab themselves the tastiest draft picks next year? At this point, it's tough to project how the seasons of these two birds are going to land. So what if we fly? What if we fly? And there was a lot we could have done with fly. Almost did like the 12 category, pick your category, but we're not. We're not doing fly trap, fly off the handle, sparks fly, fly by, fly in the face, fly in the ointment, fly into a rage, on the fly, never fly, or even when pigs fly. Here's our categories, gentlemen. It's going to be Brandon first in a moment. We have fly high, fly right, and learning to fly. So we'll start with fly high. Brandon is first, episode 29 of What If. What if a very important Birdman, our own Birdman, can finally fly? How can DK finally catch some high-flying long balls? Brandon, can we see them against this ATL defense? How can it happen? DK, please, Brandon.
Well, we heard from Pete Carroll after this game that maybe they want to unleash Geno a little bit. And I can see from a coaching perspective, you're turning the reins over to a new quarterback. You kind of want to establish a little bit of a trust factor. I mean, even think back to the last time we had a brand new quarterback taking the reins of the offense when Russell Wilson was just a wee rookie back in 2012. He played with some pretty heavy sideboards on the offense for those first couple weeks. And so maybe that's what they're doing with Geno here. And Geno came out and has shown that he can be efficient. He had the one pass over the middle that was tipped up into the air and intercepted, but that's been his only interception so far. And he hasn't really thrown any highly interceptable passes that you would be, where you're just going, "Oh, don't take that chance, Geno." But I think we're ready. I think we're ready to see what Geno Smith can do and to see if he can take more of those deep shots downfield. Is it the best week to do it with AJ Terrell being the one covering DK? I don't know, but
why not?
Why not? Let's see it.
All right, Clinton. I feel like I'm called the protector on this show, but Geno is turning into the protector. He's so protective of the precious football. Do we want to see more of that? Or do you think of some ways that we can finally see DK get some high flying deep balls? What do you got, Clinton?
So, yeah, so it's, getting to AJ, Terrell at the end of that is right. And I think it's a nice place for me to segue and take off on that, he's like known as, hey, this all pro, very young still corner. However, with all that, and he doesn't get a lot of hype because he's sitting in Atlanta, but like, it's like, oh, he's like a football guy's guy, like BFF loves him. And so if you really watch football, you love AJ Terrell. Well, you know what? I've texted a bunch of two Falcons fans that I have back in Westbrook, Connecticut. And yes, I have two inside Westbrook. I'm like, hey, tell me what's up this year so far. Both of them responded with, hey, AJ Terrell's been had a little bit so far this year.
Yeah.
Yes, I like that. Tell me more of that.
He's let up some touchdowns. He's gotten burnt a little bit, and he might be, a little overhyped now. Okay. Saints with Jameis, not exactly dynamic with Michael Thomas. All right, Cooper Kupp, whatever. Nobody's covering him, so throw that one out the window. He's not being covered. With that, I don't think it might be the outside. I don't think it might be the deep shot. What about DK playing some big slot? What about DK playing some Kyle Pitts big slot type of role? And where, they got two good corners, right? I mean, yeah, sure. You got Terrell, but Hayward is a good, he's 33 years old. He's a multi-Pro Bowl corner. He's had a very good career. He's still good. He's solid. So what if we mix up where we could put DK, move him inside, work the slot corner, and get some mismatches against linebackers? Get over the top on some of the linebackers that are okay. Definitely not the strength of this team, and still hit some seam things, but inside the hashes, but get creative. So it's not the deep shots outside the hashes, because it's not Geno's kind of bag anyway. So I agree. I want to see more DK. I just think we have to maybe tweak a little bit given the circumstance. So how about DK over the middle, but still 20, 25 yards downfield?
How about DK wherever? When you throw the football up to him, he's going to go up and catch it. I feel like we've seen that at least a couple times this season. That's been the impressive thing, is that on those jump passes, DK has caught them. And on that flea flicker type play, that was not an easy catch, where he's going over the back of a defender, and
awesome.
It wasn't even, a clean catch into his hands. I think it bounced off one of his giant biceps and then into his hands, and he was able to kind of corral it in as he was going to the ground. It was an impressive catch.
Here. I agree. And when's the last time we've seen anybody run a post? Do we throw like posts where the ball is caught between the numbers anymore? Does that happen?
We haven't in a bit.
I mean, isn't that like normal
I think
NFL
the one
route?
that Geno threw against the Niners was the one that was intercepted by the Niners.
Yeah. Was that a post route?
I don't know. It was down the seam.
Okay. That's what I thought. But anyways, okay. Fly high, continue to fly high. We're going to go with Clinton on this question. What if Patterson, the running back with number 84, what if Patterson and the Falcons run game is flying high against us? We had that happen with the Niners. What if it happens with them? Whom are we going to be most disappointed with if we continue to struggle right off the bat against the run game, Clinton?
Oof. I hope we don't. We got to get right. We have got to get right. And this is not a dynamic run team. They're fine. It's a pretty improved offensive line also. So, it's not like they're slouches, right? These are, first of all, it's a professional football team, but you got Matthews and McGarry, I think, on the tackles. There's this dude, Lindstrom, who's kind of playing real well as guard too. So they're doing okay. This is not, it's kind of a work in progress type of line where they got some young dudes who won out this year, won some camp battles. Their center, I think, is Dahlman as well. He won a camp battle. But it seems to me they might be a little better on the pass pro than they are on the run, kind of like us. So if we're having challenges, I don't think it's going to be because Al Woods and team are not doing their job. I think it's going to be the next layer, which has been kind of a challenge, where we got to see Jordan Brooks. We got, Brooks and Barton being disciplined and stepping up, making tackles. And of course the tertiary, where the safeties fly off the screen too, right? Where the front, I think the front can do their job against this front, which is take up space on the run play, clog it up, open up the lane so that the dudes who should make the tackles and go get 12 tackles, 13 tackles a game can go do their job. So if we're not successful there, it's probably laying on number 56, the dude who calls the plays back there.
All right, Brandon, who are we going to be most disappointed with if there's even against ATL, they're just running on us in the first half?
Yeah, I'm going to stay at the linebacker spot, and I'm going to go with Darrell Taylor, because it's been in back-to-back games that we've seen those big runs more toward the right side of the field. And I'm a little bit worried that it's Taylor that is struggling. So I'm struggling with the idea of, do you let a young guy like him play through some of these struggles, or do you get a guy like Boye Mafe out there getting more snaps earlier on in the game? Because we saw him come in and play pretty well. Maybe it's time for him to start taking some snaps away from Taylor, because I don't want him taking snaps away from Nwosu.
Or do you go bigger and you put Q-Jeff out there?
Maybe
that wouldn't work, huh? Not on a 3-4 so much.
Or maybe Miles Adams at one point this year, maybe, right? So
you'd like to see him once in a while.
Yeah, I'd like to see him, on Sunday.
He could probably take some snaps from Ford, because I feel like Puna hasn't shown us much either early on in this season.
It's not, we're not trying to be rude to the player, right? Like, we watch the game, we give our opinion, and you ain't wrong, right? You're not wrong. And there's some discussion about, is Puna the right size for this newer defense? Maybe so, maybe not. But he's not showing out like he has in years past. And again, I think we've got a capable dude in Adams. But Brandon, to your point, I would like to see us give Taylor at least one more legitimate, like, it's yours. Like, don't panic.
Sure.
Like Mafe had a couple of, we talked about Mafe on 3 and 3 out. Great couple of nice plays. And, man to man, he has set the edge more appropriately, more effectively, more often, more consistently than Taylor has. Now he's had less snaps. It doesn't mean he would all of a sudden fail with more snaps. That's not fair to him to assume that. I would just want to give Taylor the opportunity to correct this. It's still a young season, and it is a work in progress season, period. So if he's going to be the dude, and we still think could be a 10+ sack guy, maybe the boost of confidence being like, no, you are the guy. Go take your time and correct this. And maybe against Atlanta, it's a good get, because I can tell you this right now, not to get too far ahead of the game, it's not going to be pretty versus Detroit. Anybody who thinks I don't want to get a week ahead, but Detroit can run the ball, and their offensive line is a different group. This is a decent game to see if Taylor can get right.
Yeah, we got to figure it out. So you're both saying second level personnel. You're not going toward coaches. You're saying if they're still running, it's a personnel problem.
Coaches don't tackle. Yeah.
Okay. Good call. All right. Next category, fly right. Fly right. We're all sitting. Hopefully we sit straight. Want the Seahawks to fly right. Brandon, what if the Hawks can avoid dumb mental errors? How confident are you that we can find a happy rhythm against this Falcons defense? We watch a lot of teams. There's a rhythm to it. That's not what we've seen our team have yet. If we just avoid mental errors, are you confident that we can get a rhythm going? How do you feel, Brandon?
Yeah, when I think of the mental errors we've seen from this team, it's mostly been up front on the offensive line, whether it's pre-snap penalties, whether it's Lucas not being in position for that deep throw downfield to DK Metcalf. And it has been those types of plays that has really taken the offense out of its rhythm. They pick up what seems to be a key first down. You think about even in week 1, where Rashad Penny breaks off a big run and it's brought back because of either a hold at a critical moment, or, well, there was one that was kind of a ticky-tack hold. But still, I feel like if the mental game, if the Seahawks are flying right, it's going to show up on that offensive line, and it's going to allow the team to get the run game rolling, and that's going to make everything else work off of it.
How about you, Clinton? If we get rid of the mental errors, do you think that's enough for us to get a rhythm going, or do you see something else really?
I don't think it's enough. I think it's a great question. The mental errors bring everything to par in your brain, right? Or in a visual, like bring it to zero, bring it to par. The mental errors bring us below par, and not in a good golf way. We need more, we gotta be more plus on the other side. But Brandon said it, and it is the running game. Like, guys, we don't have Aaron Rodgers back there, and that's fine. We don't have Josh Allen. Guess what? It's like 5 or 6 teams in the league that have a player of that caliber. That's it. Maybe 4, right? Maybe 4, like elite quarterback. And then you got your goods and et cetera, et cetera. Gino, we talked about this. Gino's been fine. Geno is not the reason we lost 27-7. He's not to the Niners. He's just not the reason. And Geno doesn't run block. We need to run block. It's that simple to operate. It's not just the mental errors. Yes, they can't be, because we're not good enough to overcome many mental errors. So we have to be clean. And in addition to that, we've got to run the ball. We have to run the ball. We need to do that against Atlanta. I'm okay with this game. I know it stinks to think about. Remember that Cowboys game in the playoffs that pretty much made Russ think, convince he wanted to leave? If they committed to that kind of game plan, as much as it might be, torment to go watch, but watching that week 3 when it's like, we've got to run the ball, I'd almost rather see them just commit to it and be like, we're going to get it right at some point. And if they don't, make the changes that need to happen. You got Jake Curran sitting on the sideline. Okay. And then I'm not talking right tackle. I'm not talking taking Lucas out. I'm talking looking at Gabe Jackson.
I gave you a hard time last week about moving Phil Haynes into Gabe Jackson's spot. And now I feel like I jinxed it, or he was bad. Gabe was bad.
Yeah, he was bad. So, we had a little bit of something going late last year. Now, mind you, we didn't play a murderer's row of defensive lines. We just didn't. But still, hit the one in the middle and allow. Maybe there's a shakeup that's needed. Maybe there's a shakeup. I'd love to see us commit to running the ball. And if that means Geno throws the ball 18 times and it's a 13-10 game, win, lose, or draw. We can't draw a 13-10. I might be okay with that because we've got to solve that particular challenge. We don't have a shot to win many games without it.
Yeah, and to juice or inject your point, Clinton, that you've been making even on 3 and 3 out, not even Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, they rarely do well without the run game. But some of that is the quarterback, right? Maybe some of what Pete wants to give Geno is the ability to make changes in the run game, get people in the right spot, call the right hole. He said we've been holding him back on what we've been giving him. I'm wondering if part of it is he needs to be able to have the opportunity to make a choice pre-run play. Do you think some of that might be missing? Because I haven't noticed, like you'd see Russ or Haas doing little things in the run game. I haven't noticed Geno getting to do that much. Maybe just not enough plays. But have you guys seen the same thing, or am I out in left field here?
I feel like we just haven't seen enough of the run game to know, to be able to evaluate it.
But we want it all. We want deep shots to DK, lots of running. We want to do everything in our 40 plays.
Yeah, let's be dynamic and awesome.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I need to keep moving on flying right. Second half of it. This side to Clinton. What if Clint Hurt can cause Mariota to fly right into some turnovers? The game does get too fast for him. One thing for Mariota, it seems like the game speeds up and he makes kind of crazy moves with his legs or throws. What if Hurt can help do that? How can scheming specific players play a role? Do you have some players? You have some thoughts on what Hurt needs to do to mess Mariota up and help us get some turnovers against this man?
So you prefaced it in the preamble with the recap of, or the what you saw, I should say, from the Falcons. And it's that Mariota will bail on, ghost towns, essentially. Like he'll bail. And it's like, it's actually okay. And we got on Russ for that, right? We're still seeing that with Russ now in a Broncos jersey, where he has more than meets the eye there, but he goes, he's gone. He wants to take off. To do that, the pressure's got to come through the A gap, or like you would want it through the A gap, because then it's right in his face. And then that's when a QB like Mariota will get nervous and bail sooner than maybe they have to, and get him on the run. And that's where the overthrows come, et cetera, et cetera. With that, we haven't had a lot of luck. So I'm not going to beat hey, we need Miles Adams. I don't know.
I thought that was it. I was like, let's cue the walk-on music. Miles of Adams.
I think, yeah, right. I think he's a good player. And I know he's a good NFL player. I want him to play more, but he's not a panacea. So, going there over and over and over again, Dr. Quinn, medicine woman, is not going to do that. What I will say is Cody Barton blitzing through the A gap has been effective when they do that. So
Bobby Magner got him last week.
Yeah,
Bobby
exactly.
Wagner or whatever.
Yeah, yes, he did. It was his second of the year, right? So let's get a gap pressure. Let's manufacture it. Barton's good at that. Let Barton do a couple of those when the opportunity knocks, and cause him to make those weird decisions that Mariota has made throughout his career. So I think it's a Barton play. And yes, if we play Miles Adams, I'll be a happy camper.
How about you, Brandon? Somebody to scheme up.
Well, see, this is where I get a little bit worried about sending a guy like Barton maybe a little bit too much, because that's where I think a guy like Kyle Pitts will come into play and just eat the linebacker's lunch. So I would actually threaten it more and really try it. And so you do have to hopefully have a little bit of early success threatening to send either Barton or Jordan Brooks. But later on in the game, hopefully you just the threat of it is enough that you can back off and then be right in position to where when he bails or he's looking for that quick outlet, that you can make him make that mistake and result in a good play for the defense.
That's super wise, because I think that's what happened when the Bobby Wagner sacked him early. He kind of freaked out the rest of the game, and that allowed him to kind of cause it. I mean, he was seeing things that weren't there. But if you do press, you need that other safety to come up and take the tight end, right? If you're going to send quick penetration, you need someone to follow up to take away that short throw.
Right.
But maybe you nailed it right there, Brent. That might have been exactly what got him a little bit off. He didn't get back around to playing well to the fourth quarter. And in that case,
I would like to see some Ryan Neal on the field, hopefully covering up Pitts, because I don't know if Josh Jones is going to be a very good matchup if that's the guy who's going to be covering Pitts over the middle.
Third category, learning to fly. I don't know if we ain't got wings or not, but learning to fly. What if this young O-line can begin to open holes in the run game? What can we expect this offense to accomplish with a more consistent run game? We haven't seen it yet. What if we can finally get there, Brandon? What will that look like?
The one thing I think they're going to have to do, they're going to have to find success up the middle, and it's going to be a tough task going up against a guy like Grady Jarrett, because he's a guy for the Falcons who can take over the defense from the interior. And so it's going to take Gabe Jackson, Austin Blythe, Phil Haynes having some sort of plan of attack against a guy like Jarrett, because I really think for this team to be physically dominant, you also have to be dominant up the middle. And I would like to see them really take Jarrett out of this game. If you can get Penny, if you can get Walker into that second level of that interior of that defense, then I think maybe we can see some interior, some good success in the run game, especially through the interior.
All right, Clinton, Brandon gave us kind of the how. What will it look like? What all will that do for the offense with Brandon's how we start getting that run game consistent?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I do want to say that while the linebackers are not like well known on the Falcons, there is a dude, number 3. His name's Michael Walker. He's a third-year dude from Fresno State. He's pretty good, So if you're watching Sunday and you're like, because number 3 for like a middle linebacker, essentially, kind of an odd number. So if you see a number 3 out there flashing a little bit, don't be surprised. Like he's stepping into his own. You replaced a middle linebacker from last year, and I watched some of the game. Like, this guy's interesting. He's making plays, kind of like head on the ball quite a bit. To answer the question, what's it going to look like? It needs to look like our dudes are not getting. We're not dependent on yards after contact when they're being hit like a yard behind the line of scrimmage. Penny and Walker, given the amount of attempts and the yards they've gotten after contact, are actually really good. I know that it's a stupid small sample size, but that's just
you're right.
The volume. The volume is the volume. But they've made, mountains out of molehills in a decent way. So what will it look like if we're being more successful? I'm not saying dudes are at second level and we're, no one's being touched to 4 yards downfield. That's exceptional. But can we get to a point where our running backs are not being touched until they're at the line of scrimmage? And I'm not trying to be like coy or like snarky about that, but that's progress against a team that doesn't have a dominant front seven. Can we get to the point where give me Walker and Penny to beat a dude through contact at the line of scrimmage? All right, that's at least better. So I know it might be a baby step, but Bob Wiley and me says, baby step to 4:00, contact at least at the line of scrimmage or more.
I like it. I mean, Akers was hitting full speed right at the line. Full speed right at the line of scrimmage. I'm like, boy, I haven't seen that from my team. I hope we get to see some of that. Can I please see some of that when we play them? Yeah, that would be nice. Okay, second question under learning to fly, Clinton. What if these young ATL, you guys have been talking about them a lot, these young Falcon pass catchers can cause problems against our young corners, both sides learning to fly? Who worries you the most? Now, I didn't say on a particular team. So who worries you the most? Is it our young guys learning to fly? Their young guys, somebody in particular? All their big pass catchers are in their third, fourth year or first, second. We're talking second year tight end, first year awesome receiver. They're all young.
And I like Brian Edwards. I like Brian Edwards as a grad from the Raiders as like their other dude. Like I think the guy's talented, and Drake London is showing why he was picked in the top 10. Like he's good. I'm going to avoid the Kyle Pitts conversation because I'm just going to hope. I'm going to hope with Cope that he doesn't have the breakout game. And it's like
it's a great strategy. Hope is a great strategy. I love it.
Hope
As a fan, hope is a great strategy. You hope that our coaches are not employing that same tactic.
Yeah, right. I think I'll just stick with Drake London because he seems to be, not even seems to be, he's clearly Mariota's number one and number two. That's where he wants to go. So yes, they're going to shift sides and that'll be that. And we'll see where it's at. But watching Woolen's been good. Woolen can match up against him, but I just want to see can we smother a dude like London, who is kind of taking the league by storm. First two games against two good defenses, by the way, he's been good. And hate to go down the middle chalk, but in this game, I think like he's the dude we got to take away. And I'm probably going to get scorched and burnt for this when Pitts goes off for, 141 and 2 touchdowns in a breakout game. I'm just going to hope he doesn't break out. And it's all about Drake.
All this youth, young guys learning to fly. Who worries you the most? Someone on our team, someone on their team. Brandon, who you got?
The one guy that worries me the most, I'm going to our team because Kobe Bryant has had a pair of rough games, I think, to start the season, and he's gotten beat in some key moments. And so depending on how the Falcons decide to try and attack Kobe in this game, is he going to be able to respond and bounce back from these past couple games? And I think that I think Kobe has the makeup to be able to do that. That's one thing that I'm rooting for, but it's also one thing that I'm worried about the Falcons trying to exploit, because whether it is with London or Pitts or Edwards, I think that they can find a matchup that they want to where they're trying to pick on Kobe a little bit. Teams have had success with that so far. Can they make it 3 straight weeks in a row? I'm worried that that's going to happen, but I'm hoping, again, to bring that word hope back into it. I hope that Kobe can turn things around.
Yes, our key strategy in the passing defense, hope. I had one more question. If we can do it really fast, I'll ask it real quick here.
Let's do it.
On learning to fly, what if our defense can show improvement in one area? I'm trying to keep bringing up questions like this because that's a lot of what this season's all about, is improvement with our young guys. But if our defense can show improvement in one area, where does that need to happen most, Brandon? One area.
One area of improvement on the defense is stopping those runs to the outside. We've seen it to start off that game against San Francisco. We saw it even from the Denver Broncos, where they were just hammering those either off the guard or off the tackle style runs. And that has been what has been killing this defense early on. I feel like the Niners were able to coast after getting some of those big Debo runs early on. they're not going to be able to withstand that as a defense if they can't get off the field. That's one area where teams are going to keep running it until we stop it. And so far, I haven't seen it consistently stopped enough by our defense to where I feel a whole lot of confidence.
What do you got, Clinton? One area.
Yeah, there's three great answers, and Brandon, it's like, it's like Family Feud style. Like, Brandon took one off the board. But there's two others I think are glaring. I'm going to avoid one, and I'm going to go with, we have got to have a more consistent pass rush. Has to happen. Have to have it. It's just a matter of, like, we haven't seen it from Taylor yet. We've seen Nuosu. We have not seen pass rush through the middle besides when we blitz, right? Can we get some pressure with a 4-man rush or a 3-man rush, if you will, in a 3-4, like over the nose, over the center, through the guard? And I don't know if we can.
What if we can just make Mariota think there's a pass rush, and we get the whole team to say, pass rush, pass rush, pass rush. And he's like, oh, no.
We have to get dialed in. If we do that, we got to put the switch on to make sure the switch is not off, so that we're yelling from the sidelines. Yes. And we count down, and we count on the play clock for the opposition. Then if we do all those things, then perhaps we'll get a pass rush of the middle.
Yeah, very good. Okay. Well, I said at the end of the show, we're going to find out that Travis has two brothers, and one of our favorite Seahawks, Travis Homer, he has Brandon Homer and Clinton Homer. We found out with our picks last week. We really had some Homer picks, so I'm giving zero. I'm giving no wins to either of you on the score or the wish. Fair. It just didn't work out at all. So Clinton's still up 1-0. He got the score right on the first game. We're gonna get our prediction. Brandon has to go first. Give us your what if Super Hawk, your wish, and your score. I'll type it in, and then Clinton will give his. Brandon Homer first, then Clinton Homer.
I'm going to blame this partially on you, Phil. I feel like we did not explore the multiverse well enough as to expecting Jimmy G of coming back into the game so early, because
I hid that one from you.
My prediction may have been different if we would have explored that portion.
I'll give you that.
Yeah. So no Homer pick from me this week. Okay. So my what if Super Hawk of the week, I think it's going to be a back-to-back week for Tyler Lockett. I think that if that's still an option this week, with maybe a little bit more attention going DK's way, that Tyler's just going to have those opportunities to open up the passing game for Geno. So he is my wish for this week. And I'm going to say that the Seahawks line up for a game-winning field goal in this game. And Jason Myers, he is the opposite of whatever the wish is. And we lose 17-16.
Okay. 17-16 sadness pick.
Sad.
Yeah, for Brandon. Okay. How about you, Clinton? What do you got?
All right. The wish is truly a wish. I've got a penny and thrown it down the well here, and maybe there's some Goonies at the bottom. We'll find out. What I want to see and where I think we should attack is the middle of the field. And I expressed that earlier with my wishes of maybe even lining up DK in like a big type of slot and using him. If it's not DK, I wish that we can get Noah Fant actually going.
Whoa, all right.
Not 2 targets, but like use the dude the way that he can be used. And whether that, he's not going to get 12 targets. It's not going to happen that way. But my wish would be that he's getting above 6, 7 targets, 5 to 6 catches, where he's recording a game where his impact is felt. So that's the wish. And then it's a little fuzzy, but what does impact felt mean? A touchdown and 55 yards. That'd be great, because we haven't seen it. And I would sure wish we do. I still think at home, I think we win this game. I've got trepidations galore with what happens the following week. So for folks who think we're going to coast against Atlanta, I don't think so. And folks who are thinking we're going 3-1 with Detroit coming up, I don't think so. But I think we get to 2-1. and I got us at like a 19-17 victory. 19-17, the W.
That's what happens if Jason Myers makes that field goal that I had him lining up for at the end.
Coming down to it. And I've seen it go both ways in the multiverse, guys. So we'll just see which one we end up in here. What multiverse are we sailing into? Is it Brandon's or is it Clinton's? Because this game might have a big impact on who's drafting first in the top 10-ish in next year's draft. It really might. This might have a big role to play in the draft next year. Don't you think, guys?
Yes, sir.
It is possible. And you know what? We want everybody with us as we go along on this ride. And so make sure you are subscribed to the show. Follow us out on YouTube, youtube.com/Seahawkers podcast. Subscribe to the show. Tell a friend. You know, this is a fun journey that we're all on together this season. And why not bring some more people on board? And if you want to support the show, you can do so at getintheflock.com. Be a part of our Pick'em League. We're giving away weekly prizes through there. It's a really fun time. So we hope you join us.
Great time. Anything, Clinton? You got anything?
Yeah, go Niners. Sorry, that we gotta root for it. Go Niners.
I can't say that. I could say don't go donkeys. I don't know, but those two words together, never. Wine, baby, wine.
3 words. Let's ride curse.
Let's ride curse. Okay, so gentlemen, fun show. What if we say go Hawks?
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.